Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the What Do You Dream podcast. I'm Nick with Kristi,
Hello.
and today we have a very special guest. We have Dr Brigitte Holzinger, PhD, born in Vienna, Austria. She is a psychologist, psychotherapist for Integrative Gestalt, supervisor, clinical and health psychologist, sleep and dream researcher, university teacher, and writer. And this only scratches the surface of Dr. Holzinger's tenure. She has not only been a pivotal influence to the Austrian psychological and sleep research scene, but has had a wider impact to the international community, in particular her expertise in sleep, dreams, and lucid dream therapy and research. Dr. Holzinger, thank you so much for coming onto our show. You are way too professional to be here with us.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's great fun, and I'm very excited to find out what you're going to ask me.
Ooh, and I think that leads straight into it, Kristi.
Yeah, I'm just going to go straight into it with the first question. Describe to our listeners exactly what lucid dreaming is.
Right. I wish there would be an easy answer, but if I'm asked, please describe what a lucid dream is to somebody who hasn't had a lucid dream. I usually say, just imagine that you wake up into your dream and that you then can, because of that, make decisions for what is happening next or what you're going to do next. So on a more professional note, you could say that you're in the stage of primary processes, which dreams could be, meaning more picture-driven and more emotion-driven. You enter the secondary consciousness or the abilities, and I will explain in a minute what that is, directly. Secondary processes would be our reflective abilities, like that we can make decisions, that we can ask ourselves, where am I? That we can remember, and that we will know that we will remember, and so forth. But the most important feature of the secondary processes is the clarity of who is dreaming, namely, I am dreaming. The ego is dreaming. So the ego kind of emerges. There's a theory that the ego emerges with the secondary processes. These primary and secondary processes go back to Sigmund Freud on the one hand, and has been picked up in the consciousness research by Gerald Edelman, which is also a while ago already, I think around 1993. And I think it's a very interesting and revealing way of thinking about not only the development of consciousness of a child, but also of what happens in our dreams. And of course, it's a model, so it should be discussed and it should be talked about. Usually the definition would be a lucid dream is a dream in which you notice that you're dreaming and that therefore you can make decisions.
It's interesting because it's that like I guess it kind of goes back to your main discipline of Gestalt therapy. It's very a humanistic approach, so that would really go hand in hand really well with lucid dreaming, because essentially it's that element of empowering the person to make decisions for themselves, right? So that's like...
Absolutely that, and also, and thank you for mentioning Gestalt therapy and that it is a humanistic approach. It also, and the notion of empowerment is very important, and the notion of being able to take responsibility in a good way. Yeah, it doesn't mean that it's tiring or something you don't want to do, but taking a responsibility for, say, your nightmare or what is going on in your dream gives you the abilities for making a decision, acting, and for freeing yourself at the end.
And that element of freeing yourself feels like one part of a multitude of benefits. Would you be able to go through like what the benefits would be for someone who would like to undertake lucid dream therapy?
Freeing yourself or liberating yourself. And there is, it's a bit of a twofold issue that we're talking about now, because I don't want to overly recommend the lucid dreaming, or you say lucid dreaming therapy, because some people are getting too enthusiastic, even fanatic about lucid dreaming. And that, I think, can be harmful in a way as well. Meaning you might lose contact to the real life, which of course the dreams are the real life as well, but still, you know, we are walking on earth and pursuing our everyday life. And it's, of course, very important to not lose the perspective that the dreams and the lucid dreams are supposed to make our lives better, rather than we have to become the best lucid dreamer in the world.
It's like with a lot of things, like if you want to exercise, yeah, that's fine, but if you only want to exercise and only do exercising, then you're never going to gain anything.
Thank you. Exactly right. It's with everything. It is about the right approach to whatever you do, and then including lucid dreaming, of course. But lucid dreaming has, to me, a great potential for self-development, or for development per se, and including overcoming, I don't know, some psychological hang-ups, if you wish. We say we can, in Gestalt therapy, it's easier to close a Gestalt right then and there when it comes up, namely in a dream, which of course you could also do in the waking life. And but in a dream it seems to be more direct, because of the primary consciousness. We are more emotionally involved most of the time. So you feel that you might feel the effect more directly, if you wish. But also, and I have to kind of go into that a little bit as well, I sometimes look at dreams as a sort of a built-in psychotherapy that we do with ourselves every night, in the sense that we are integrating the perceptions, what we have seen, heard, etc., during the day or days before. We are thinking about or talking about things that are important to us, that puzzle us, that we want to develop further. And of course, that wishes or intentions or thoughts linger from the waking life through the sleeping life, and are being processed also when we dream, but a little in a different way than in the waking state, meaning more in the primary processes way, meaning more emotionally, maybe a little bit more creative. So just from that thought, I think it becomes clear that if you then gain the ability of making decisions, having the choice of what to do next in a dream, liberates you, because usually the dream evolves as you expect it. And that's a big sentence in itself, really.
Yeah.
Maybe we can talk about that too. But now you have, in addition to this evolving, moving pictures, you could look at dreams like that as well, the ability of being the author and the director at the same time of these inner moving pictures. And if the picture or express on what's going on within ourselves, we can, I think, imagine how that could be very liberating if you do, and if you make the right choices.
It's really interesting. It's that whole element of, it's like, empowerment, really. It's empowerment, agency. It's all stuff that we all get touted through every single day, right? Like, but no one really gets to practice it. And we've discussed on the show that dreams are, and it sounds very similar. It's that element of our brain being able to practice stuff and just constantly just practice through scenarios, maybe rehearse information, just go through that. And that extra element you're adding with that primary process, where it's that more emotional aspect of it, that actually makes more sense, because you're not hung up with the waking brain of like, oh, I need to suppress this, I need to suppress that, and well, I've got this outside here that's going to stop me from expressing how I would feel in this situation. But then, like, say, like, if you're angry with a coworker, then you have a dream at yelling about the coworker. You know, it's like, I had those emotions, and maybe I was yelling at Kristi. I don't know. Sorry.
It's interesting because we started this podcast because Nick and I found we dream quite a lot. And we were asking friends, you know, how often do you tend to dream? And they would say, oh, maybe once a week or once, you know, every 2 weeks. But we were finding we were dreaming 3-4 times a week. And through doing this podcast, we've realized a lot of what we're doing, you know, in our real life are sort of entering into our dreams, and we're sort of working through problems that we have in our dreams. And it didn't really click as to this was happening until we started talking about, you know, our dreams. And I have learnt so much since starting this podcast. I mean, it was just a bit of fun, but we're both learning quite a lot. And I had never known what a lucid dream was until we did start this podcast. And because I've never experienced one. So how common is lucid dreaming?
Thank you for saying this, Kristi. And there's already something in what you said that I would say something to it. And that is the beauty of the dreams is that they react to, if we give them, if we pay any attention to them, they react to that. So when you said that you would prepare the podcast and that you would notice your dreams or remember your dreams better, that's how it is. When you start paying attention to your dreams, they will reward you by entering your memory and making some things clear, like that they do, as you said, deal with what you have experienced during the day or what you think about during the day and so forth. And in sleep and dream research, we say that we dream every night. It's just how many dreams do you remember? So it's really more like you're helping your memory a little bit when you pay attention to your dreams. And that might be very interesting. I'm trying to prove that it may jog our memory per se. That would be nice to see if that's true. So that, you know, when you get older and you still pay attention to your dreams, you may even write them down. Like use an app, you know, I guess I can mention the app that we have, the DreamSense memory app, where you keep a dream diary, so to say. Remember your dream regularly. You might do something good for your memory per se. We hope that that's true, and we hope that we will be able to show this eventually.
That's so interesting. Like, so there's that possibility that it could improve like your neuroplasticity and your memories. Well, that's so fast. That's great. So I'm just reacting right now. That's so cool. Like, I guess I don't give our brain enough credit. You know, you just take it for granted. You take dreaming for granted, but it's like there's that. It's almost that biological function. It's like, why do you want to practice this? Well, to remember how to live and how to get better. It's sorry, I just gushing. I'll bring it down.
Well, that's how we see it, and we don't know if it's of course this is based on the research that has been going on for over 3 decades, and there is something to it. It's not just our notion. I think we will be able to prove some of what we just said earlier eventually.
Fingers crossed.
To your question, Kristi, you asked actually how many people have lucid dreams, and from our epidemiological research, it's about a quarter of the population, say in Austria, Germany, and the United States, who every now and then experience in a dream that they are able to make a decision, or that that they noticed, this is a dream. But most of them don't take it further into lucidity, into that feeling of this fantastic, immense freedom. Sometimes I think this is for some people a little bit too much. This needs to be getting acquainted to as well. One would think this is the best. Feeling happy and feeling free is the best feeling, and it shouldn't take any effort. But it seems some people have to just get used to that and open themselves up to freedom and happiness. But that's what lucidity holds for us. And of course, I'm very happy that we can mention here that we have been part of international efforts for sleep and dream behavior under the pandemic, and there's several publications out for that first stage, and we're working on the second stage. If you feel like filling out a questionnaire, it would be great. It's on the websites, that www.traum.ac.at and www.schlafcoaching.org. And for the second round, and that's why I mentioned it, I was able to convince my sleep researcher colleagues that we need more questions about dreams and lucid dreams. And for the first time, we will have actually data about several countries, several continents, and how many people actually have lucid dreams in a standardized population.
Oh, that'd be so interesting to find out, especially like what the culture, because like it would be so interesting to see if it's like a common human element, or how much culture plays in it, and age and what have you. Sorry, I'm like giddy. I love this stuff.
He understands what I'm getting.
Generalizable to the whole population, and we can inferences on it.
I know, it's exciting, yeah. To me too, because it's always been puzzling. Well, actually, how many people have lucid dreams? And I have a hunch that the number of people has grown, and it's particularly become quite popular amongst the younger people. And I'm so happy about this, because I must say, looking at the world and the climate and everything, the younger generation is our hope.
I gotta say, there's a really common theme so far from just our discussion with lucid dreaming, and that strong positivity and that inclination to happiness and being better. And I think it's really inspiring. I wasn't expecting to be inspired. I was expecting to be informed, not inspired, but both. I'm really happy about that. But yeah, it is, and I'm feeling actually more positives talking to you about this right now, just a general uplifting element to this. And I think that being able to try and, I guess everyone wants to be happy, right? And how would we want to be? Is there like something we can do to do better at get into lucid dreaming? You mentioned a sleep journal and the DreamSense app that was it DreamSense Memory or DreamSense?
DreamSense Memory.
DreamSense Memory app, yeah. So is that like anything else that people can do to kind of get into lucid dreaming?
I think what I usually do is I recommend hearing a podcast. So like you just said, the most important path there, I think, is to find a way how you kind of imagine vividly how that could be, why you want to do that. And this could be by listening to a podcast. This could be by reading a book that is actually describing real lucid dreams, or participating in a group of people who have lucid dreams, and to discuss this in an open and free way. Because there are some groups where you have this competition already. Oh, I have the better lucid dreams. Oh, I have more lucid dreams. And that may not be the best way to approach lucid dreaming, but if you so to say share from the heart what you experience in a lucid dream, I think somehow that transmits and is a little contagious to others, if you wish.
No, it's so. Funnily enough, I actually had a period of in my, I'd say late teens, early 20s, where it was that element of my group of my friends. We were really interested in it because we watched a movie about it, where it was more of like the premise of the movie, I forget the name, but essentially someone who's too into lucid dreaming and can't decipher reality from the dream. So it's this person was trying to actually go back to your theme of the negative elements of lucid dreaming, using it as an escapist tool rather than an empowerment tool. And we were like, oh, I wonder what it would be like to lucid dream, just as like, because, you know, when you're young, you want to experiment and be silly with stuff and see where it goes, which goes back to what you said with how the younger generations seem to be doing this a bit more. And we really, and it was that social contagion, because we were all like, what happened? Let's talk about this. Let's talk about that. Share. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah, and then eventually it could have happened so that some of you have lucid dreams, because I think sort of diving into the topic, imagining it vividly during the waking state opens the gates for the possibility to have those experiences when you are sleeping, and that's lucid dreaming.
So interesting.
Reading it about it, thinking about it, asking the question, well, do I really want to have this, or what is was maybe against it? Because as I said, it sounds easy that everybody wants to be happy, but I think yes, but there's always some obstacles in the way psychologically, I think, as well. Not always, but often.
Yeah, because you mentioned nightmares earlier, and this actually really got me interested, because for as long as I can remember, I've had 2 recurring dreams, and they just have to be nightmares, don't they? And I've had them for, like I said, since I was a teenager, and now I'm almost 30 soon. So it would be so great to be able to decide what I'm about to do in this nightmare, because in these nightmares I'm terrified, and I don't have the choice to run away from whatever's chasing me or about to haunt me in my dreams. So I found that very interesting. And how can lucid dreaming help with dealing with nightmares?
What we found out when we tried to prove that lucid dreaming could be very helpful for overcoming nightmares, we were very surprised that the group, the so-called patient group, and it wasn't actually patients, it was just general population at the time, who suffered from nightmares 2 to 3 times or 3 to 4 times per week, and would avoid sleeping because of that. Now, this was already 2002, it's a long time ago actually, because you were quite young then, or still, and when we taught lucid dreaming to these people, they reacted in that way, and I will tell you in a minute how we taught it, that they were so relieved that they could actually do something when the nightmare happens again at night in their bed when they sleep, that they started to be more comfortable sleeping again. And that was one of the biggest gains of that study and of this results, if you wish, that people were able to sleep again. And of course, sleep is healing per se, is restoring us, rejuvenating us psychologically, physically, and mentally. And that was the biggest result measured in the so-called PSQI, the Pittsburgh Sleep Quality Index, that before we started our training, and it took 10 weeks. And after, at the end of the training, the people have changed from everybody being with a sleep disorder to no sleep disorders at the end. And that was, mind-boggling. That actually led gave us the courage to develop something which we call sleep coaching. We can talk about this later as well. A non-pharmacological approach for treating sleep disorders, including what now is being called a nightmare disorder, because in 2002 that term didn't exist yet. But still, people were there who would suffer from the nightmares and who would avoid sleeping. So I think there are many advantages and many reasons why lucid dreaming is fantastic for nightmares. But that's probably the most important, that you have something that you can help yourself with when you experience the nightmare again in your own bed when you sleep.
I love that. I mean, again, but it's going back to creating that positivity around lucid dreaming. I mean, you've been able to, these people who were so afraid of going to sleep at night, and I can understand because I hate having these dreams, to being comfortable to going back to sleep again. I mean, I find that's amazing.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was, but I must say it was amazing. Yeah, you're right. And it was wonderful. And then I said, I talk a little bit about how I taught the lucid dreaming. I think, because there were other studies before our study or around that time that weren't that successful with the lucid dreaming as the nightmare treatment. But I think ours there's several reasons why it was successful. And I think the main reason was, and it wasn't really done intentionally, it just happened so, that the so-called control group was a dream group based on Gestalt therapy, and somebody else was the therapist there, so that we wouldn't have a conflict, because I myself taught the lucid dreaming training, as we called it, to the other group, which in addition to the Gestalt dream group actually also was trained in lucid dreaming. The Gestalt dream group took an hour and a half, and the training took an hour once a week. Was that with that Gestalt group, the people had an implicit understanding, or developed an implicit understanding on what dreams are, what you could do with your dream, why you dream, what they might be telling you, why they're there, and so forth. So there was an implicit framework of dream research that was given to the participants. And I think that is quite helpful if you want to deal with your nightmares as well with lucid dreaming. And that may have been the main reason why our results were quite good, or that were so good actually, as compared to the results of the other researchers who just did the lucid dreaming training and no implicit knowledge about dream work per se, or the dream therapy per se.
Well, that makes sense, because if you just focus on one element, things are more than just one aspect. It's very nuanced, and if you don't have the tools at the time,
and just somebody might ask oneself, well, maybe it was the Gestalt group that was the effective and not the lucid dreaming training. So the results showed that both was effective, but that the group with the lucid dreaming training was much more effective, and in a faster way, and also in a, we say nachhaltig in German, meaning we had a follow-up 3 months later as well. The ones who were trained in lucid dreaming training, they could keep up their great sleep and the lower number of nightmares, whereas with the Gestalt group, they weren't able to keep up that way. Yeah, because with the lucid dreaming, there's something you can always do again. You can help yourself with.
Yeah, and I guess we're sleeping every night, so of course we're going to have more opportunities to practice, and practice makes perfect. I mean, was it 10,000 hours to be an expert? I've already done more than that in sleep. It's really interesting, because being in a modern world, it's like a 24-hour global world, sleep is actually almost become like a rare commodity, and I guess it's becoming more of a problem with that 24-hour economy. Because I remember quickly reading over working with Austrian night workers on trains. It was very interesting about how much, because it's something that you don't, it's like your health. You don't realize it's bad until you have it bad. And if you don't have a good night's sleep, you treasure the next moment you have a good night's sleep. I mean, I can speak for myself, because like I've had some issues with sleep over, like, especially like with some bad times in my life. And you know, when you're really bad, there's nothing worse than you go to bed and you're like, I really want to have a sleep, and then you just can't sleep. But I guess it's that those tools. I guess it's not just in lucid dreaming, I guess, but I guess it's just that I find it really, especially with Gestalt therapy, because in Australia we don't have that. We're not very we're very similar to a UK US type of therapy and stuff like that, and it's more like, let's treat it with drugs, maybe do some CBT. It's more like they're looking for symptoms to treat rather than taking on the face value. So it's that, like, I guess, yeah, I don't know, I'm just going on a tangent, but yeah, that was just where
No,
I was
I
going.
agree, because here we're very much like, let's just fix the problem as quickly as we can. There's no actually thought that goes into, well, why is this happening?
Yeah, so it, how should I say this? But there's also people in the UK and in the United States who do Gestalt therapy, and it actually has been developed in New York and California, but it's really spread in more in Germany and in Austria, and it is. In Austria, it's one of several acknowledged methods of psychotherapy, and in Germany they're working on that. So yeah, a quick fix that is being aimed for sometimes is not as helpful as one would think on the long run.
It's like with anything in life, you got to put in the time to get the best results. And I guess that leads back into lucid dreaming. If you want to have a good interaction with it, you got to put in the time for those results. And I imagine you yourself have put in a lot of time and had a lot of dreams. What is the crazy? Have you had like a really fun or crazy lucid dream that you can remember? And like, would you be comfortable with sharing with us now?
Well, it is probably a standard dream that many people experience when they start having lucid dreams. And I haven't had lucid dreams spontaneously as a child, because some people do. I also had to train for it and learn it. And that was when I did my dissertation, when I was around, 26 or so, 25, 27, around that time. One of my first lucid dreams was that I am standing on a hill, and I somehow notice, after reading Paul Tolle and Stephen LaBerge, that I'm dreaming. What am I going to do? Oh, I always wanted to find out how it would be to fly, of course. So I start running down the hill, so that I get some momentum going, and as I do, I kind of jump up so that I could start flying. And I find myself after that, after a few meters, we think in meters, up, all of a sudden, on top of me is a net of all these wires, electrical wires and other wires, and I can't get up. I can't go into the flying mode, really.
Yeah.
And so I land again, and I think, that's, okay, well, I need to try another time. And I start running again, downhill. I jump up again, and now, it's really funny, I am a little higher up, but I perceive at the same time the heads of the people below me that I could maybe hit and hurt by doing something with my feet. And so, boom, I'm on the ground. And I thought, well, we say no in German, we say all good things three times or something like that. So I ran again and I hop up again, and then I was able to fly freely up into the sky without any obstacles. So that's what I mean. But depending on who you are, you will experience some obstacles that you need to deal with, and that's probably a good thing until
That is
you
so cool.
until you reach the freedom that you wanted, or the pleasure, the joy which you can have in your lucid dream.
That is. I love that dream. You really you told that story really well. It was really so well iterative. It was like, oh yeah, and then I went up. It's like, okay, and then the wires, and you're like, whoa, okay. And I guess it's that microcosm of like you were saying, adversity. We want to always I guess human beings are in a way where we're the product of adversity, right? Like if everything was easy, we wouldn't be where we are, right? We wouldn't be able to talk to you over in Vienna, like because someone's like, I want to talk to someone on video, so let's work out a way to do this. And I guess lucid dreaming is that a bit fantastic personal development tool. You know what I mean? Like
you have to do things. You have, of course, to do to make an effort in the waking state as well.
Of course.
Just not it's just a fantastic addition, and why do we not use it? Sleep per se and sleep research per se, I mean, I know it's much bigger in Australia than it is in Austria and Germany, but there is so much in sleep research still waiting for us to be found out, and it's unclear why there's not more funding for it so we can find those things out. As you said, well, as long as you don't have a sleep problem, you don't pay attention to sleep, because this is a given and we do it anyways. But to know more about how sleep comes about and why sleep and how sleep restores us as a human being or as an animal as well, as a holistic entity. I mean, that alone would be, I don't know, give us lots of keys on how to restore and how to maybe live better and live longer and in a better and healthier way.
Yeah, and it's so true what you're saying. There's not enough time, effort, resources into sleeping, because it's one thing every single person does, and I guess it's our preoccupation with the waking stuff. We're all worried about well, what am I going to do to get to work? What am I going to do about my heart, my food? What am I eating now? But we spend so much of our time sleeping. Why not put a third of our current resources into it? Because it's a third of our time asleep. We need it for brain development. We need it for muscle development. Like how many things say get a good night's sleep?
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
And I think, you know what? I think on that note, I think this is a good time to. I think we'll wrap it up. I think we were going to do a dream, but you presented us such a delightful lucid dream experience that I don't want to share my dream because. I'm so sorry. No, don't be sorry. You're the star here, and that was a great dream. That was really awesome.
It's really funny because I just thought when I told this dream now, it is so amazing. With the lucid dreams, you remember them, and you remember them your whole life, because this dream is quite a while ago, and I think I've told it to people, but I've never mentioned it or written about it, and but it's showing you what happens when you start lucid dreaming, and it's kind of demonstrating, I think, also what I meant by obstacles that you need to overcome into your own freedom and wideness and
Just you mentioned talking about sharing it with people. Because when people think about lucid dreaming, they think it's a very single individual thing, but I can't think every single time I have had a good dream, and maybe possibly a lucid dream that I wasn't aware of, it ends up becoming a communal thing, because it's like, hey, I had this really funny dream, let's talk about this, and you start sharing, and it's so fun. And like, I mean, again, we're doing this podcast because we like to share dreams and have a communal experience of it, and I guess it's just that element that, you know, life can be so hard, and if you can get a bit of relief through your dreams, why not grab
Absolutely.
it?
And Nick, you have a great point there. This is how I see it as well. As I mentioned earlier, I run dream groups, and my colleagues do. And when you do this, you notice actually you're producing the dream, so to say, you are by yourself at night. But when you talk about dreams, you notice that it's more like we say in Gestalt, a field movement even, because people usually can relate to the dream you had, as you related to mine, and I'm sorry that I didn't hear yours, but we relate to each other's dreams, and we have similar experiences, and somehow this may, I don't know, I don't want to be too esoteric now, but remember C.G. Jung talked about the collective unconscious. I mean, he wasn't a Gestalt therapist, but still there are some interesting thoughts there. And sometimes I think, well, maybe we tap, when we dream, into something collective. Maybe that's not so untrue what he said back then. And natural, so to say, like, because that's important to me too. I don't really have the answer yet, but I somehow think to be in touch with your dreams may enhance your ability to be in touch with nature and more responsible with the climate, so to say. So maybe that's a wish on my part, but maybe it would help.
Look, if we don't dream, we never achieve anything, right? Like, oh wow, actually I just made that up. I was sorry. I'm a bit we're in Australia, we have a phrase called a dag, which is someone who's a joker, a bit of silly, so I describe myself that way. I can be a bit of a
That's
well, for our listeners, would you like to share everything that you would like, mention your app, the websites, everything like that? Let the listeners know, and we'll share it wherever we can.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, if you would mention the app and the websites, that would already be fine. And maybe the online courses and books, Perchance to Dream, Perchance to Sleep is that my easier to be read book that was published in 2007 in Anleitung zum Träumen in German. So, well, you find me on the internet if you look for me.
Yeah, look up Brigitte Holzinger. You'll see the name in the title. If you hopefully you would have read the title. If you're still like, you'd hope so. You'd be like, yeah, who's this person? I want to know more. Look her up. She's everywhere. If you understand German, then that's even better. You can listen to more stuff. You can read more stuff. I'm not bilingual. I can only speak English. I had to use Google Translate. But I would, again, like to thank you so much for being on the show. This has been such a delight, and I hope everyone listening has enjoyed it just as much as we have.
Well, thank you so
awesome
much.
To have you on. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristi. It's been a delight talking to you, and it's been uplifting to me. And I wonder, for the three of us, who will have a lucid dream in the near future, since we now talked about it.
I really hope I do. I really want to have one now. I really want to
imagine if we all have one. Dream. That would, oh my gosh. Well, on that lucid dream community uplifting note, I would like to thank you for listening, if indeed you still are. I've been Nick with Kristi and Brigitte Holzinger saying thank you. Dr. Brigitte Holzinger saying thank you and sweet dreams.